What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Now, I had a late night. I had to DVR the fights. Got a lot of work ahead of me that I've been trying to cut through. So I was doing that, handling business, getting my grown man on. And then I just now watched the fights, and I'm making my subsequent video. Um, I'll try to separate the videos. This one will be about Miguel Cotto and his performance over Delvin Rodriguez. And I'll let you know what's next for Cotto and kind of what I see going forth and what I seen tonight in the fight with Rodriguez. Now, I'm going to let you know it's my channel, man. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, I'm going to let you know the real. Miguel Cotto looked great. He looked spectacular. He threw body shots. He looked more reminiscent to vintage Miguel Cotto. Looked like he had power. That hook to the body was deadly. I think HBO focused on that and talked about that. He was just deliberately making an effort to make a statement. And it appeared that the Warrior was back. Now, this fight didn't last long. It ended in the third round. The taller man succumbed to the constant pressure and just the aggressive tactics of Cotto. And I think that body work also made for a short night. That definitely takes the wind out of you. That being said, some of you guys are propelling this into a whole nother level. Yes, it's great. I'm a huge Miguel Cotto fan, and it's great that he looked good. I mean, I would hate to see someone who put so much dedication into the sport of boxing, so many years, so many training camps, so many trainers, just to have their legacy kind of end on a flat note or tarnished in any kind of way. Miguel Cotto is a warrior. He shows respect to the sport by at least making a game effort. I don't really recall a time where I just felt like he absolutely was not trying, even in like whatever you think is his worst performance, like Austin Trout or whatever fight you want to consider or rank up there with his worst performances. I feel like he always tries. Plus, like I said in my previous video, this man has a resume. Randall Bailey, Paulie Malignaggi, Floyd Mayweather, Shane Mosley, Zab Judah. The list goes on and on and on. Incredible resume. But at the same time, he did what he was supposed to do with an opponent he was supposed to do it to. Delvin Rodriguez, as I said in my prediction video, he's a fighter who is taller, is significantly taller than Cotto, but he doesn't use his height to any type of advantage. He doesn't fight tall. He doesn't have like a Lennox Lewis. I think like Lennox Lewis, obviously clearly another weight division. Lennox Lewis was 6'5", and it showed when he was in the ring, especially with smaller guys like Mike Tyson. He kept them on the outside of his jab, and he used his arm length advantage, and he used the ring. He used his actual stature as an advantage in the heavyweight division. Delvin Rodriguez doesn't do that to me. He doesn't use his height. He kind of leans down, like fights shorter. He's not a fighter that really does that. Plus, Delvin Rodriguez is a fighter with, I think, like 6 or 7 losses on his record. It might be 7 now. So he's an okay guy. He's an okay opponent. He's been in the ring with some names like Austin Trouts and whatnot, but he's not a world beater in any sense of the matter. Like I said, I'm not trying to disrespect Delvin Rodriguez. I think he'll give whoever a decent fight, but again, most of you guys can't even name off the top of your head, no Google, no Siri, name Delvin Rodriguez's last 3 fights. I'll wait. You know what I'm saying? Most of you guys can't do that. And that shows that this was definitely an opponent that Cotto was supposed to beat. A confidence builder. He was trying out a new trainer, new training methods. That was Freddie Roach. So they didn't put him in the most dangerous fights, because in the sport of boxing, consecutive losses could be career ending. It definitely hurts your career. You start losing stock, basically. And I think Manny Pacquiao is going to be in the same boat. He lost to Timothy Bradley, got knocked out by Marquez. So if he loses to Brandon Rios, that's 3 consecutive losses. Amir Khan was in the same exact predicament. And the reason I bring up Amir Khan is because it's very parallel to Cotto. Now, before you stupid motherfuckers like start leaving egregious, stupid comments, listen to what I'm saying. In no way, shape, or form am I comparing Amir Khan's skill set, what he brings to the table, or him as an overall fighter to Miguel Cotto. Completely different, night and day. And Cotto has a chin. I'm not comparing that, but I'm comparing circumstance, and the circumstance was very similar to what Cotto was in. So look at Amir Khan. He lost to Lamont Peterson. Then after that, he got stopped by Danny Garcia. So that's two consecutive losses, just like Cotto had two consecutive losses, one to Floyd Mayweather and one to Austin Trout. Um, Going into that third fight, it's if you're a marquee name, if you're a superstar or quote unquote an elite fighter, that third consecutive loss will kill you. Like who wants to? That's a losing streak. Nobody is gonna have that much faith, especially with Cotto, who's like a sellout crowd type of fighter, pay-per-view type of fighter. He's earned that spot, and three consecutive losses would drastically impact him. So just like Amir Khan, new trainer, just like Miguel Cotto, new trainer, Amir Khan switched from Freddie Roach, which is actually ironic, and he went to Virgil Hunter. And Virgil Hunter has been doing his training. So he had a new trainer, tested out some new things, and guess what? It was a tune-up fight. It was an undefeated fighter, um, and Amir Khan thrashed him, completely dominated, and stopped the fighter who moved up in weight. His name was Carlos Molina. Same thing with Miguel Cotto. But my point being, what happened to Amir Khan after that fight? He fought a catchweight Diaz at home, got knocked down, and still doesn't look like it didn't look that great the very next fight. So my point being with Miguel Cotto, again, I'm not comparing him to Amir Khan. I'm not saying he doesn't have a shot to reclaim like supremacy or like a top ranking, but it's going to take time. I'm going to have to see him in there with some other people to gauge where he really is. Because one thing in this particular fight, it lasted 3 rounds. Cotto exerted a lot of energy, and he's an older fighter. And keep in mind, in the sport of boxing, he's not old as a person, but you got to keep in mind that these fighters age in dog years. So many wars, so many training camps. That's just a lot of pressure and tension and wear and tear on your whole body. And then that's not even including when you're actually in the ring fighting these Shane Mosleys and people who can crack and that kind of stuff. So it's a lot of wear and tear on your body. And Miguel Cotto has been in there with everyone, as I mentioned earlier in this video. So he's definitely an older fighter, if that makes sense. He's not really a fighter who relies on the Pernell Whitaker defense or anything like that. He comes to do damage, and he takes shots, he has a chin, etc. So Miguel Cotto, again at a later age, I'm really curious to see how his stamina looks, because Margarito in their rematch, his eye was fucked up from the Pacquiao fight, and it was stopped. He did not look like he wanted to stop. So we might have seen a repeat from what happened in the first fight, because it appeared that that Miguel Cotto was getting tired. He looked fatigued. He looked great in the early rounds, and he looked fatigued in the later rounds. So luckily he had done enough work and enough damage, plus Pacquiao's damage, to stop Margarito, or have the doctor stop him, and the rest is history. So he won that fight. But he did look fatigued to me. I honestly think that. So I'd be anxious to see how the championship rounds played out had Margarito's eye held up a little bit better. Same thing with Floyd Mayweather. He looked extremely fatigued in the late rounds. He looked good, bloody Mayweather's nose up, gave Mayweather one of the most competitive fights we've seen in recent memory. Late rounds, he started getting tagged and picked apart. In the 12th round, it looked like Mayweather could possibly stop him. And in the Austin Trout fight, he just looked overall lethargic to me. So as far as Cotto, I'm not hating on Cotto. I'm just being 100% real. I just have to see more. I have to see. Everything happens with consistency. If you go into a store and you have like 5 bad experiences, and you go back into that store, you're like, fuck it, I'm going to give him a 6th chance. And you go into that store and have a good experience, is that store all automatically redeemed and you want to shop there and spend all your money there? Or is it going to take consistent, good visits at that particular store with great customer service before you really say and recommend to your friends and say, hey, this is a great store? So we know Miguel Cotto is great, but in terms of if he still has it to be the best in his division, that kind of thing, that remains to be seen. And I think, again, he did what he had to do against the opponent that was put in front of him. But I view this as a tune-up fight and a confidence builder. I've stated that, and that's what it was. It was a confidence builder, and he should have his confidence up from that. It's just going to be a matter of if you can compete with the top level guys in your division. Can you beat a Sergio Martinez? Can you beat a Canelo with one loss? Those are going to be the questions. If I was Cotto's manager, um, I would honestly, because he had a 309-day layoff, I think, between the Mayweather, or excuse me, Austin Trout fight and the Delvin Rodriguez fight. I would actually bring Cotto back at the first quarter of next year and put him in there with like Carlos Molina. This is going against what HBO said, but I would put him there with the Carlos Molina who just beat Ishe Smith for the belt. And Carlos Molina is a crafty fighter. He's not a vicious puncher or devastating puncher to the point where I think Cotto has to be worried about that. But we'll see how Cotto looks in that. And that would also give him some more confidence if he can convincingly beat Carlos Molina, because that's a hard fighter to beat. And there's not much danger in the fight. In terms of, there's danger that he could lose because Carlos Molina is extremely awkward, but there's not much danger of him taking much punishment or getting knocked out. So far, thus far, Cotto's shown that he has a chin. So I wouldn't really consider Carlos Molina the one to really stop him and KO him or anything like that. Plus, it's a title fight, and I think that will give him a lot of confidence if he can do that, get a title back. And then I think with that confidence, that's going to set the standard and completely paved the path for a fight with Sergio Martinez or Canelo. And I know the fans want it. Cotto's still a huge draw. It looked like he did great numbers. I was heavily excited for this fight card, mainly because of him. Also Terrence Crawford, but definitely because of Cotto. It's good to see him back. Good to see him back with a W. It's just going to be, can he do that to an elite level fighter? And how's his stamina going to look in the late rounds? Like I said, the unfortunate thing is Delvin Rodriguez didn't really give Cotto much of anything to respect early. And if you don't give anyone much to respect early, then someone with Cotto's experience and chin, I don't see what's going to deter him from coming at you like he did, like a fucking like he was possessed. So I think a lot of it, well, excuse me, not a lot of it. A lot of it was Cotto and his conditioning. He looked like he was in great physical shape, and he was paying attention to the body shots. But the other part of it, I guess you could say, would be Delvin Rodriguez. He didn't really do anything to earn or gain Cotto's respect. So Cotto did again what the fuck he needed to do given that situation. Like I said, it was a confidence builder fight. Hopefully he takes that, puts it in his pipes and smokes it, and we'll see what he has to do. But like I said, for me to say Cotto can beat Canelo and Sergio Martinez, I got to see more, and I think he should probably build up his confidence with like a Carlos Molina fight. And I can assure you, if he fights in the exact same way that early doesn't measure their power against Canelo or even a Sergio Martinez, I don't see that looking as good because he was throwing some of the punches kind of wide. He did look really sharp though, like with his body shots and whatnot. But Canelo and Sergio have shown that, well, not so much Canelo, but Sergio Martinez definitely has shown that he can go 12 rounds, 12 hard rounds with a bigger guy like even a Chavez Jr. who gains ungodly amounts of weight. So I don't really know, but Canelo, as far as Canelo, he may have stamina issues as well, but at the same time, that motherfucker's big. He's big. He has boxing ability. He's shown that he can use head movement and that kind of stuff. So I'd be really anxious, and I don't know if that's a winnable fight for Cotto. Like I said, he looked great. He could possibly beat Canelo. I don't know. Like I said, that would be a good fight. I would really pay top dollar to see that particular fight. I think Cotto's rather small though for 154. I don't think that's his best weight. I think him going back to 147, fighting like the winner of Bradley Marquez, something like that, would be more beneficial. I don't think 154 is the prime weight for him. Even even like when he was just on the stool watching the Terrence Crawford fight, he just didn't look that big. When you look at the other 154 pounders, guys like Angulo, even Edislandi Lara, and when they're fighting, on fight night, they're rehydrating a ton of weight. Canelo, just looking at him at the weigh-in and just in pictures, he looks much bigger. Um, Gennady Golovkin and Sergio at 160, they look significantly bigger than Miguel Cotto, even though he was in great shape and all that. So I'm not shitting on Cotto. I'm not taking anything away from him. It was a spectacular win. But again, Amir Khan had a spectacular win against Carlos Molina. And the very next fight, he didn't look that great. And that was against Julio Diaz. So it's really dependent on Cotto, how hard he trains. I still think he needs to be mindful of his pacing and not exert all his energy in the early rounds. Like I said, you're lucky that you're able to get Delvin Rodriguez out of there. Again, a person not necessarily a lethal, deadly puncher like Gennady Golovkin or something that you definitely have to watch out for. And again, Delvin Rodriguez, what did he do to garner Cotto's respect? Nothing. He didn't do it. He absolutely did nothing. The taller fighter didn't fight tall. He didn't like establish a jab or anything to keep the distance. So he got knocked out in the third round for it. It's pretty simple. So props to Cotto for doing what he did. Like I said, he did what he did with the tune-up, and I'd be anxious to see how he looks in his next fight. I think he needs to. He's not a fighter like Mayweather in the sense of he could take long rest periods and do that. Delvin Rodriguez was a softer touch opponent, so he was able to do that. But I wouldn't recommend long layoffs for Cotto, and I wouldn't recommend just going right into a fight with one of the guys that have been fighting at with bigger than you, like Canelo or Sergio Martinez. I think he should fight like a Carlos Molina. It would be an ideal fight for him just to get a title. And if he can beat Carlos Molina and prove that, who's very awkward and look good in doing that, then I think that just sets the path for a Sergio Martinez or Canelo bout. And I know the world wants to see it. So some people may differ. They might think, oh, he was landing crazy body shots. He needs to go right into that. But if you have respect for the fighter, you want him at his best. You want his confidence to peak. And it's funny to me how some people were just saying a couple fights ago that Cotto was washed up and damaged goods. And now all of a sudden, he's the truth again. So props to Cotto. Like I said, he's definitely one of my favorites. And it's good to see him taking it seriously. And it did look like he had that fire in his eyes in today's fight. So it's good to see that. I know a lot of the Puerto Ricans and Boricuas, they were happy. Y'all was in your chancletas. And you guys were eating your fried plantains. Really happy. So props to Miguel Cotto. He did what he had to do. Third round TKO. Delvin Rodriguez was no match. Let me know what you guys think of this. And as always, hate, comment, or subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego signing off.